I sometimes feel like there's no ideal place where I can post what I'm working on because everywhere seems to be flawed in some way, and I've jumped ship from multiple social medias because they were either a security risk, or didn't have any reach, or the community sucked, or they didn't protect my art, or a combination of multiple things. I've been on a shit ton of different social medias because I impulse make accounts that I never actually use. So I thought, why not go over why every single one is terrible, and you can go through and decide for yourself which sounds the least terrible. If you're unsure about where you want to post your work, or you're considering leaving whatever site you're using right now, then hopefully this can give you some pointers of where to go from here. So you're probably thinking, but Ash, you post your stuff on YouTube, you're a YouTuber, that's your social media, that's your thing, that's where we consume your content. It's a fuck of a lot more complicated than that. I'd like to say I'm consistently maintaining 3 social medias right now, maybe 3.5 if you count Discord, that being YouTube, Twitch, and Toyhouse. These all have problems of their own, but I found them to be apparently the easiest for me to maintain because I still do it for some reason, kind of. But yeah, let's start. I'll be giving each site a rating out of 10 as well once I'm done talking about it, just for funsies. This rating is strictly from an artist's perspective, by the way, not just from a regular user. This is a video focused at artists. I'll be weighing in the factors from a reach standpoint, from a business standpoint, and from a community standpoint, so that's all considered when I drop my rating. So let's talk about Twitter. We like Twitter. Sorry, did I dead name it? No, we don't like Twitter. I was a Twitter artist for a while. I think I'd say I was actively posting there at some point in time. Not anymore though, so let's talk about that. Twitter is best if your priorities are meeting other artists and having a more dedicated fan base. I was able to start selling my art on Twitter at like 50 followers, whereas on some other social medias I had to get well over that before I was able to make a dime off commissions. People who follow you on Twitter are typically more interested in what you're drawing, and I think in the Twitter art community there is a better balance of artists and art enjoyers, which is difficult to find elsewhere. Basically what I'm saying is there are people who don't make art themselves in the art community who are willing to support you. On other sites, it's sometimes just artists supporting artists, which is great, but it also means that artists, especially younger artists, are exclusively relying on their commission money to be able to buy your commissions. This means it can be hard to make money on those sites, whereas on Twitter, it's a lot easier to sell. So from a business perspective, Twitter is not terrible. However, there are a lot of cons, so let's talk about the cons, because I love talking about the cons. When people say Twitter is a drama hellscape, they are not exaggerating. This isn't a hyperbole, it is a drama hellscape. Every day, you will wake up to another call-out post, be it on an artist you've loved the work of since you were 7 years old, or one of your best friends. Take a gamble. A lot of enormous Twitter artists turned out to be really bad people, and even if they aren't, you're probably still gonna hear about how they are, because it's a Twitter user's wet dream to cancel someone, whether there is evidence or not, and if not, they'll just make shit up and people will believe them, so... I've never really been involved in any sort of Twitter drama, I don't think, but a lot of my mutuals have outed themselves as shitty human beings, and it gets kind of tiring after a while. The community can sometimes be wholesome, but a lot of the time it's just straight up hostile, and that negativity weighs on you after a while. You're kind of expected to express and parade around your opinions on every niche controversy, even if you don't want to or aren't someone who enjoys dipping your toes in drama, because even if you so much as follow someone who has a bad opinion, you're at risk for being deplatformed. Even if you had no idea that they had that opinion and only followed them because you saw one cool art piece 6 months ago. You have to do background checks before you hit the follow button because I swear I've seen people get called out for something as simple as who they follow, and no, they will not hear out your side of the story. Also, the mutual culture on Twitter is interesting, to say the least. A lot of people there view you mutually following them as friendship, which is weird because you're still relatively strangers a lot of the time, but it's something to get used to say the least. If you like making a lot of friends, then Twitter might be good for you, but again, it comes at a cost, because the most sad thing ever is getting close to someone and then realizing they're a literal Nazi. Last thing on Twitter, with the doofus who owns it, there are a lot of blatantly bad changes being released every week, and I feel like the site has been rapidly getting worse and worse. It's not the same site it was, like, a year ago. It's becoming gradually pay to use, and artists have been getting less and less reach. That's something to keep in mind if you're thinking about using it. It's a risk buying the subscription just so your work can be seen, because sometimes it won't be, and it might just not be worth using the site at all. Final rating, 4 out of 10. Next, Instagram. We love Instagram. No, I kind of hate Instagram, actually. I hate a lot of things. So I was posting on Instagram for a small while. I haven't been active there on my art account in forever, and some of the things I say could have changed, so take what I say with a grain of salt. From my experiences, Instagram reach is kind of bullsack. Tags are important, and consistent posting is kind of important as well. Your followers are much less involved with you than Twitter. You probably won't be able to sell your art at 50 followers, let alone 500. There are a ton of DM IP grab things, and I have no idea what those are about. And everyone kind of talks like a bot. It's really weird. I don't like the vibe of Instagram.
I think the reasoning behind the bot-like comments is because a lot of Instagram users are millennials, like the unironic emojis and stuff. But yeah, if you want a bunch of identical comments on everything you post and you're not as interested in making friends or fitting yourself into a community, then Instagram might be for you. There aren't clusters of artist groups like how there are on Twitter from what I experienced, or maybe people just didn't like me. Some people tried to befriend me, sort of, but again, the AI-generated comments were really making me uncomfortable, so maybe I was the problem in those relationships. If you're less interested in getting involved with the community, don't care about comments that much, are obsessed with any other interactions, are okay with waiting a long time to be able to sell your art, and want to be an independent artist, then Instagram might be for you. Final rating 6.5 out of 10. What about Tumblr? We've been hearing a bit about Tumblr ever since Twitter caught on fire. I was one of those people who seriously considered moving from Twitter to Tumblr. I actually have a Tumblr for the sole purpose of anonymous asks, so if you have questions and aren't sure about DMing me, you can send them there anonymously, whether you have an account or not, just so you know. From what I know about Tumblr, which is very little mind you, it's not that bad. The community is less awful than Twitter, if that's saying anything at all, and the reach is a heck of a lot better. It doesn't matter if you're new or an old account. You have the potential to get a post to blow up as long as you make sure to tag it. From what I've noticed, Tumblr is very fandom-oriented, however. Fandom art, or at least very themed art, will get you a lot further than if you just post random drawings of your OCs. If you are an OC artist, I think the people on Tumblr kind of prefer if you're drawing some sort of character interaction, or have a set story/plot that you're following. It's easy to fall into a fandom circle on Tumblr, and when that happens, it might feel like that's kind of all you can post about, but I think you can transition to another fandom if you felt like it, but from what I know, you'll get more interactions if you stick to one or two things at a time. Tumblr is also really not good for commissions. If you're trying to sell, don't use Tumblr. It's more of a for-fun website. Your followers won't necessarily follow you onto other websites or support you financially. The site is very receptive to feedback from its audience, however. They notice and react to what people dislike about other sites and either make a meme out of it or improve their own site to entice you to use it, which I actually really like. Bottom line, if you're super into fandoms and you hate Twitter, you might like Tumblr. Final rating 7 out of 10. Toyhouse. It wouldn't be an art site video if I didn't talk about Toyhouse. If you're like, what the actual fuck is Toyhouse, then yeah, you're not alone. It's a pretty small site. Basically, it's a character storage website for furries. Did I say furries? I meant artists. You can make pages for all your OCs and post any art of them, and get obsessed with a number under their name to the point where you're drawing them unhealthily often. This is a pretty solid site in my humblest opinion because it's made and designed for artists specifically, so there are a lot of features that an artist would enjoy, but it's more aimed at artists who make and like to collect OCs. Though YouTube is where I have the largest audience, I'm most active on Toyhouse above all else, I'd say. I've been active on Toyhouse since I made my account, so I think it's the longest standing consistently active social media of mine. I really like how you can customize your account and your character profiles and stuff. You're allowed to HTML code all your pages, and you can use CSS too if you buy Premium. Premium was only like $20 a year, which is a steal compared to other sites, honestly. If you're interested in a smaller and more close-knitted community, Toyhouse is good. It's got a lot of audience involvement too, because anyone who subscribes to you will be notified when you submit new art, new characters, new bulletins, which are basically just tweets, literatures, which are where you can write your fanfictions about your characters if you're into that, and whatever, unless they're manually turned off one by one. So that sounds good, quiz. What about the cons? Okay, so Toyhouse can kind of be like Twitter Lite sometimes, in the sense that some people are obsessed with making callouts on people for some reason, even before they have solid evidence. So there's a lot of backtracking where people are like, block and unfollow this guy. Wait guys, never mind, misinput. And it's really annoying to see. I think Toyhouse has been getting better about that lately though. It's also kind of small, like I mentioned earlier, so like above 300 subscribers or so is what is considered a lot. And like, if you're pretty active on Toyhouse, then you probably know all the other pretty active people, or have at least seen them around. It's easier to get your username there though. No more fucking numbers because your username is fucking taken. Another con, there is also a really weird culture around designs by popular artists. People kind of get a little too into collecting them, which results in scamming and fraudulent activities and stuff. It's gotten to a point where if you own a design by a popular creator, people view them more as NFTs than actual characters and never actually draw them or use them and trade them for another character within a week of obtaining them. Which is fine, because people can do whatever they want with a character as long as they paid for them and own them, but I can't say that it doesn't make me a bit uncomfortable sometimes when I'm getting harassed in the comment section of a character I own by people begging to buy or trade for it, when I literally just got it or I never said it was up for offers. I can understand the obsession with designers though, because I love collecting designs made by my friends and inspirations, and it's pretty neat owning their designs. But yeah, that culture is a little awkward sometimes. People sometimes feel entitled to own your characters and will genuinely hate you if you don't give them a character they really like or something. I've seen people be accused of being character hoarders because they don't want to give away their OCs, which really sucks, but I've seen that term used less and less, so honestly I think Toyhouse is healing. which never happens on any other site. Also, big thing, Toyhouse is invite only, so you can't just make an account. Only people with premium can generate invite codes, and they only get like 2 a week. But good news, 2 a week is actually a shit ton. I can generate 102 invite codes right now. So if you want an account, just hit me up and I'll give you one, because I literally don't know what to do with these. Final rating, 8 out of 10. So I was gonna record a segment about TikTok, but then I realized I've never posted a single TikTok, and I don't know much about the algorithm there. So I called in a buddy of mine to go over the TikTok pros and cons for me. His name is Oysterdy, here's his channel, here's his TikTok, and without further ado, I'll let him explain this part for me.
Hi, it's me, Oyster, here to give you the pros and cons of posting your art on TikTok. I'm gonna break this down into bullets and list off the pros and cons of each point just so this is easier to take in. 1. There are a lot of people on TikTok. Pro. Since there are so many people using TikTok, it's much more likely you'll be able to get at least one video with a good amount of views on your account. The art community on TikTok is massive, so you don't have to worry about not finding fellow art enthusiasts on the app. Con. Since there are so many people using TikTok, you are also much more likely to encounter bullies, and unfortunately they appear more often than not. People like this usually make fun of artists and give generally unhelpful/unsolicited criticism in the hopes of bringing down others. And if you have one mean person on your post, then a ton more are bound to follow. They're literally a hive mind. I'm not kidding, it's actually kind of scary. Unfortunately, there's nothing you can do besides block and report, which really sucks since TikTok's moderation is absolute ass. 2. Art trends. Pro. Trends for artists or trends that can be adapted into art get tons of views. If you use the right hashtags and are able to hop on a trend in time, you'll probably hit gold. Which I never get to do, because I draw too slow. Con! These art trends are usually toxic in nature. An example of this is art lore, which surrounds bringing down beginner artists or artists with unconventional styles for the sake of quote-unquote comedy. It can also be hard to find art trends that don't revolve around berating others, which honestly blows. These trends also get tons of views, unfortunately, so it's not going away anytime soon. 3. Fandoms. Pro. Fandoms have a really big impact on TikTok. If you post content surrounding a certain fandom, then you're bound to get views. Artists really thrive on the platform because of this. Con. Sometimes, when your content revolves around a specific fandom, it's hard to get views on your other non-fandom related videos. You don't really keep a consistent audience, and it can be difficult to stay motivated. This can lead to art block, and every artist knows art block is a total pain to deal with. Overall, TikTok doesn't have the nicest or most loyal user base, but it does rack in quite a lot of clout if you figure out the algorithm and what works best for getting views. So I give it a 4 out of 10. Even that's a tad generous though.
DeviantArt. Don't use DeviantArt. I literally only use DeviantArt for money so people can pay for commissions through the point system if they don't have another way to pay. DeviantArt kind of burned to death because of their weird new implementation of AI art and NFTs, which a lot of artists are really against because, copyright infringement and using someone else's art to train an AI to generate quote-unquote original art out of it is kind of yikes. The setting to protect your art from theft is also not given to you unless you pay for their subscription, which is kind of fucked up in my opinion. Like, why would you put a button to protect art from theft behind a paywall? The content filters suck. NSFW shit or AI shit or really weird shit appears in your feed all the fucking time, even if you actively press buttons so that it doesn't. Your posts will sometimes get a lot of views even if you don't post consistently or aren't popular, which is nice. I like the reach, and adoptables actually sell quite well on DeviantArt, but the site sucks. Final rating 3 out of 10. Twitch. I use Twitch. Twitch reach is, in short, very bad. It's not good. I feel like you're only really gonna get big on Twitch if you were already big somewhere else and promoted your Twitch there and then took off after that. However, streaming is really fun. I enjoy it. You can also very easily reach affiliate standards so you can start making money off your streams, whereas on YouTube, you need a shit ton of watch time to be allowed to monetize your stuff. I love spamming people with ads whenever I feel like. Final rating 7 out of 10, if you use it as an extension of another site. Don't use it on its own. And last but not least, YouTube. YouTube is for long-form content. I'm staring you down, Shorts users. And if you're making YouTube Shorts, take a step back and ask yourself, why am I not just using TikTok or Insta Reels? But yeah, if you like making speed paints, or you like making the types of videos I make, or you like making animations, YouTube is great. The reach is really finicky and a difficult thing though. Sometimes it can take years to even get close to a position where your videos are reaching people. And other times you get a lot of subscribers, but in reality it doesn't actually feel like a lot because if you stay stagnant for a few years, then your audience is just all inactive accounts or people who aren't interested in your content anymore. The algorithm is really specific, it values consistency and it values your reliability. It doesn't want you to experiment, it doesn't want you to take breaks, and it doesn't want you to have an inconsistent upload schedule. It can feel really limiting sometimes, because even just rebranding or changing your mascot or changing the feel of your videos can feel like a gamble, because sometimes you make small mistakes and your channel just dies. I stopped uploading for about a year because I felt sick of making the same thing over and over and over again, and I wanted to try different sites, and when I came back, it was painful trying to rekindle the channel. There are long streaks of success and failure. You might have 3 to 4 videos in a row that do really well, and then a long streak of videos that do terribly. And it's out of your control sometimes because it's hard to know whether a video will take off or not before you post it. If you like making long-form content and you're very determined and resilient, then YouTube might be for you. Final rating, 7 out of 10. Anyways, those were the sites I could think of to cover in this video. Obviously there are more, but these are the big ones that I have enough experience to talk about, and that I think come to mind when you're considering where to post your art. If you have any other suggestions or you have additional notes to add on to what I said, feel free to comment them. Big thank you to Oyster for helping me out. It'd be much appreciated if you supported his work and followed his TikTok because he's a good buddy of mine. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.